My name's Tim McDonnell. I work for a company called Allegion. We're a global leader in the security business, so we make a number of lock products for the doors. You'll see them on the products all around the university, in your homes. Exit devices that you use to exit buildings, door closers, electronic readers. So all kinds of devices that enable you to be safe and secure about the buildings and your homes that you live and reside in. My role within the company is I'm working our supply chain management organization, and I'm the director of our supply strategy, commodity management, and our supplier risk management. So I manage really all of our supply base strategically in terms of the relationships we build with them, and look to see from that, how our suppliers perform, how can we enable them to help our business, and then how much risk do we have in our supply base from the standpoint of how can we be proactive about managing that risk so that our business continues without interruption. So it's a great question because there's a lot of research out there on supply risk, and we, Allegion, are probably a little bit in our infancy of trying to address what type of risks are out there, and more importantly, how do you measure them and communicate them to our business partners to enable us to make good decisions moving forward, decisions that are proactive rather than reactive. And so we focused on a couple of categories. One is what we call the operational risk that we face almost every day with our supply base in terms of how do they perform from providing good quality, on-time delivery and at a good value. And then the second main category is the actual supply base itself, or the supplier itself. How strong are they financially? Are they single sourced or sole sourced to us? Do we have any alternatives besides them? And are they in an area where the economic conditions that they operate in are robust? So between kind of like the supplier profile risk and the operational risk, we are looking at both at the same time to try and, because there's two types of decisions that you would make based on what you would face in those risk areas. As a business, we are looking at overall risk to our business in many different areas. So we do take into consideration the product performing risk and how it impacts the customer. One of the big risks I think we are starting to manage, along with many other companies, is when you get into the electronic locks and the information that's being collected, particularly through your different forms of communication. So having an app on your phone to unlock a door remotely, you see information. Video that you capture from maybe a lock that goes up into a cloud is the risk of having that information. How do you manage it robustly so that information is protected very well? And we believe that very strongly with our customers. And while we're not into the video portion of it, the communication information to make sure that a customer feels that they can communicate freely on an app is something that we very much take into consideration. No, I think it's very much a risk that we are taking into consideration in all facets of our business, up front, as I mentioned, with our customers, but also in our supply base and how we communicate with our suppliers, how we share information, and it's something that we're as our company, starting to broach. I think we recognize the magnitude of the risk. I think where it's the challenge is how do you actually mitigate that, and what actions do you put in place, because it is somewhat new and we've never really thought about that too much. We think of more in terms of the operational risk, but not necessarily the data, but it's very much on our radar screen. Yeah, so this is my first opportunity to participate in this conference, and my manager, who's our vice president of our supply management organization globally, she's a Purdue alum. She's been here a few times, and it's a great opportunity, I think, to interact with other industry leaders and on a topic that's very important to many companies, whether you're a manufacturer or a service provider. How do you deal with business continuity and supply management risk overall? So it's great. Purdue's a great learning environment, so it's fantastic that they're enabling this opportunity to bring together the business leaders along with the students and the student community to talk about the different types of relevant issues that we face in industry and the students are going to face when they graduate and get into the world.